ahead.
All right, are we rolling?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, this is all about D-Day. All right, what is D-Day? On June 6, 1944, more than 160,000 Allied troops landed along a 50-mile stretch of a heavily fortified northwestern French coastline to fight the German forces, which started the downfall of Germany and the American invasion of Berlin. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, who became president in the 50s, called the operation a crusade in which we will accept nothing less than full victory. The cost in lives on D-Day was high. More than 9,000 Allied soldiers were killed or wounded, but allowed more than 100,000 soldiers to begin the assault across Europe en route to Berlin. And see, that's how they invaded. They got these little boats that they dropped the door down and everybody had to get off real quick.
It's like, you've never seen the movie Saving Private
Oh yeah,
Ryan?
Saving Private Ryan, yeah, that's, if you've ever seen that, that's D-Day. And then there's the beach right there, and those are all probably dead guys. I don't know, can't really tell, but yeah, they're probably dead. And here's some of the stats. They had a lot of aircraft too, do bombings, and then the little paratroopers that flew in with parachutes to get, farther behind enemy lines, and they had a bunch of boats too, and only 127 aircraft got shot down, but there was still a lot of guys that got killed. As you can see, like 156,000 troops deployed, and there was almost 10,000 total between the United States, the UK, and Canada all together, and about 4,000 to 9,000 German deaths. That's a pretty wide range of numbers. And then there's Normandy right there, right on the north coast of France. Paris is nearby, and that was pretty close to England. England's right across the way there. All right, and why Normandy? It was a very strategic point because it was fairly close to Paris, and they could land a lot of their troops and supplies there, even though Germany didn't expect it because there was that huge coastline all around France that they had to guard up. And yeah, it was the easiest way in. There was no real other way to come in because it was fairly close to England, so they could all gather there and go in together. The effect on Germany, it was pretty much the beginning of the end for them. At this point, the Americans and the Allies were in Europe now, so it was only a matter of time before they made their way to Berlin. And Germany had to build up the whole coastline of France. They had to build up a defense. General Rommel was in charge of that.
I just talked about that.
Yes, you did. And so they had to build up, I think it was like 2,000 miles of heavily fortified defenses, so that kind of thinned out their guys quite a bit. And then it was a two-front war because Russia was coming from the other side, and then now the Americans were coming from the west. And they've never been able to fight a two-front war. As soon as that happened, that was the beginning of the end. And that was definitely the biggest turning point in the war in Europe. So what happened after this? The Allies landed their tanks, their troops, and all their equipment for the push towards Berlin, right on the northern coast of France. And pretty soon after, they were able to retake Paris and retake France, and then they pushed right on through to Berlin. And then, yeah, the Allies would win the war about 11 months later with Russia coming from the other side, and they both met in Berlin about the same time, and the Germans surrendered May 8th, 1945. And there's the sources, and that's all I have to say about that.